If you want to learn how to use NotebookLM to better run your business, this video will teach you 80% of what you need to know in under 15 minutes. I'll personally show you how to use NotebookLM to better manage clients, better manage employees, and better manage investors. My name is Kevin Kabu. I've spent the last 10 years using these kinds of systems to build an award-winning company. Let's get started. So what is NotebookLM? It's an AI-powered research and knowledge base that enables you to upload sources like PDFs, websites, YouTube videos. You can even link your Google Drive, Google Docs, Google Slides to it, and you can now chat with them. So you can get insights from these specific documents. And it always quotes the source that it's referencing, which brings me to its two advantages. The first one is it hallucinates less than other LLMs because it's using something called retrieval augmented generation, which is these sources that you upload onto it. And secondly, it's privacy. So it does not use your data, especially if you're a company using NotebookLM, it does not use your data to train its models, okay? And the only place as a caveat for this is when you give feedback. So if you give feedback to NotebookLM through a thumbs up or a thumbs down, then it will collect your content like the prompts, the queries, the uploads, so that it can actually analyze them. But otherwise, it doesn't automatically do this like other LLMs. And I just want to show you exactly how you can set it up and some of the best practices I use. Then we'll walk through some other use cases later. So the easiest way to do this is you just come in, if you have a Google account, you just come into this 6 dots up here, you click NotebookLM. And a couple of things I like to do so that I can keep it clean. I usually come and generate it like a list view, like the way you just saw. And what I do is I put it as the title. So I put it as alphabetical order. Then I come in when I'm creating my new notebook. I just come in and instead of typing straight into this, I close it and I like to name my notebook first. So I'll just call it Vibe Coding, and it's using anti-gravity and cloud code. And the cool thing here is I can actually get some sources from the internet and I can upload other sources. So since this is something I'm trying to learn, I'll quickly just come in and type best practices for learning vibe coding using anti-gravity and cloud code. So it's gonna go ahead and just research the internet and give me some sources. In the meantime, there's a guy I follow called Stephen G. Pope, and I'd like to also use his videos to help me in my notebook, to help me learn. So when I come in here, I can see here, anti-gravity cloud code, watch this specific video, there are 7 more sources. Okay, so I like this, and I'll just import this. And I'll add my few other sources. So you can see here, you can upload a file, you can put in a website drive, or you can copy text. So what I'll do is I'll just come in here where I can put a YouTube link and I insert that in there. So this source is empty. I'll just delete that. Then I'll come in here. The other one that I want to know is I'll use this video as well. And I just come back in here and I add a source. It's a YouTube video and I paste it in there. Okay. Is there any other that I needed? See something here on cloud code. So let me just copy this as well. I'm going to drop it in here. And a cool thing that I like to do as a starting point is I like to generate an audio overview. So this is just basically listening to the content or the sources as a podcast, like on the go, because I'm using this for learning. So when I come in here, I'd like a deep dive and I just want to focus on something specific. So focus on best practices that will accelerate my learning and get me up to speed quickly. So it takes some time to generate. So I'll go and show you one that I had already generated. So in that one, I had generated a video and this deep dive, and it's quoting the 13 sources. So I just want to play it for you to hear the capability.
Welcome back to the deep dive. It is Tuesday, February 3rd, 2026. And if you have been tracking the developer ecosystem at all lately, or even just glancing at your feed, we're not just looking at another tool update.
No, I'm not.
We were looking at a fundamental rewrite of how software actually gets built.
It's honestly the biggest shift since, the introduction of the compiler. We've moved completely past syntax. We're in a new era.
We're talking about vibe coding. And before anyone rolls their eyes at the name.
I know, it sounds
like Gen Z slang for listening to lo-fi beats while you work.
And a really cool feature is the interactive mode, where I can quickly jump into the conversation as they're talking.
Welcome back to the deep dive. It is Tuesday.
Oh, hey, our listener wants to join in. What's up?
Yeah, so I just want to know what technology stack works best for vibe coding using anti-gravity and cloud code.
Oh, that is a fantastic question.
A very popular one, actually.
Because you've hit on the two biggest tools right now, anti-gravity and Claude Code.
And the good news is the best stack is the one that uses both.
Yeah, you don't have to choose between them.
And we know this because a lot of the power users in the community, especially on Reddit, they're not picking one.
They're finding ways to make them work together.
The consensus stack seems to be anti-gravity as the integrated development environment, or the IDE.
It's the mission control, right?
Exactly. It's the agent manager where you orchestrate everything.
And then you use Claude Code for the core coding itself.
It's frequently called the better core coding agent.
So you install the Claude.
All right, pretty cool. So you can actually chat with that, and also you can actually play a video.
Today, we're digging into something that sounds a little out there, vibe coding. It's this wild new way of building software that promises you can create apps just by, describing them. But is this for real? Could this be the end of code as we know it? Let's get into it. So just imagine for a second, you've got a killer idea for an app. But instead of hunkering down for months writing thousands of lines of code, you just talk to your computer. You describe what you want.
So after diving deep into the podcast and maybe watching the video, what I like to do is now start chatting with the sources. And I'd be like, what technology stack should I work for end-to-end development? List the tools. So at this point, I'm chatting with my sources, actually sifting through all the sources that I've given it here. So you can see it's listed Next.js, Tailwind CSS, React Value, then Claude Code, Anti-Gravity, Gemini 3, DeepSeek, infrastructure, Vercel, GitHub, okay, backend automation, right? Then one key tip here, if you want to keep this stuff, best to save it, and you just click that, and that's the vibe coding stack. Okay, then we have other use cases. So the other use cases, I have three specific ones. One is client-specific knowledge. So within this client-specific knowledge, you have a situation where you may have a client who you service on a contract, and these contracts define the scope, the fees, the expiry, the deliverables. So it's great to just load all these sources as PDFs, as Word documents, as Google Drives into a specific notebook that's labeled the client name and the specific knowledge, and just do the same thing where you can generate a podcast to get a quick overview, you can have a video to walk you through, and you can have notes that show you exactly what's going on. And a quick tip, if you're doing research, you can quickly research, like let's say current news on client X. So when I'm looking for that, it's basically adding value into exactly what I need to know for my client. Another thing you can upload into the notebook is guidelines. So it could be brand guidelines if you're in marketing. It could be standards that you have to follow, specific processes, financial year ends, procurement policies, credit policies. So this also help you know more about your client. It could be their products, and a pro tip here is just uploading their website onto the notebook. So you can quickly just come in here and add a website and drop in their link, so that it can also give you a list of their products and any other information that you may need to know. And any reports, maybe it's part of your engagement, they send you specific reports for you to work on, or you actually generate reports for them. So adding them to this knowledge base gives you a clear view of your client. And each client should have a client specific knowledge base that you and your employees can interact with. A second use case is employee policy manuals and any training documents. So the cool thing about this is NotebookLM can act as a reference point for your employees. So, when you're getting them to sign on or when you're onboarding them and they have to read the policy, I can guarantee you 99% of all employees do not remember anything during that onboarding process pertaining to policy documents. So a quick way to do this and always get in sync is to just load them onto a notebook. So it could be company-specific things like the policies around leave, the policies around, meals, transport, and all that. It could even be specific things like what do you need to do before you go on leave to hand over. It could also be what is our welfare policy? How do we normally operate when it comes to bonuses? So you can just load all this data onto there. And now you can share it, because a good functionality of this is you can share this notebook with your employees so that they can constantly have a way in which they can interact with them. A pro tip here is load these documents as Google Docs, so that what you can do is once you update the Google Doc, it automatically updates the notebook because they are synced like that. And then another use case here is data rooms. So a data room is a secure place where sensitive documents are stored. And usually this happens when you're getting into a partnership or a merger and acquisition where the person needs to do some form of due diligence on you. So a notebook would be a great way to do this. So you just upload all your legal documents. And when I say this, I mean your company registration, your CR12, CR1, CR8, where someone can quickly chat through with them. And they can actually see the sources. You can also upload your client contracts going back as far as 3 years so that someone can get a clear view. You can upload your financials, your audited accounts as PDFs because it doesn't accept Google Sheets at the moment or Excel documents. Governance documents, meeting minutes from board meetings, from management meetings, compliance documents, and any strategies. So this is another use case for that. And the one that I showed you just now is probably when you're trying to learn a new skill. So for example, here is a purely powered by YouTube notebook for building my YouTube channel and personal brand, where I've created a few notes and I have these videos that help me learn and walk through this specific way that I can enable myself to build this skill of building a personal brand. So that brings us to the end of today's video. If you want to learn how to get better AI outputs from your prompts, please watch this video here where I go into something called JSON prompting. Please drop a comment and let me know what kind of videos you want me to create more of. And thanks for watching.